Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who were at the AGM in May this year will recall that the directors put forward a proposal to install new electric gates at the entrance to our estate. After the proposal was presented, we went to a vote, and more than half, in fact 61%, of the members present voted in favour of the proposal. However, that was short of the 66% that our Articles of Association require us to achieve when we have a major project. Feedback at the AGM from members included the fact that we should probably have distributed the presentation ahead of the meeting so that more residents could have a chance to consider the proposition, and that we should have dealt with some specific concerns that members had, for example, the noise levels of the gates or the annual operating costs. And these points were taken on board by me personally and by the board of directors. The board has therefore decided to put together a more comprehensive presentation on the proposal and to present it to all the residents through this presentation. This will give all members a chance to consider the proposition and to see whether they would like to vote in favour or against this proposition. The voting will take place at an EGM to be held on January the 11th next year. This presentation is intended to provide everybody with a good background to the proposal, and this proposal, as we know, has been controversial in the past, and you should know that the board of directors, although supporting the proposal, is not unanimous. We would expect and we would ask all members to vote. If you can't attend the meeting, then of course you can vote by proxy. But please do remember that it is one vote per household. Thank you.
Here is a picture of how the entrance to the estate looks now. As you can see, there are the traditional railings and the traditional white posts and the grapes on top of the white posts. And these gate posts in particular are iconic of the Ruxley Heights estate. So here is a picture which gives you an impression as to how new gates to the entrance of the estate could look. The exact design is to be determined, but this is provided just purely for illustration purposes only to give you an idea as to how the entrance to the estate could look. As you can see, our proposal seeks to improve the existing look of the estate whilst retaining its original character, and in particular the white gateposts and the railings, which are iconic of the Ruxley Heights estate. Given the close proximity of the existing white traditional gateposts to Stephen's Lane, we're proposing to install a second set of white gateposts which will replicate the first set of the original white gateposts. We would then hang the brand new electric gates from the second newer set of the white gateposts. So here is a second plan which gives you a bird's eye view of where we would propose to position the new gates. In particular, you can see that the addition of the second set of white posts upon which we would hang the gates are positioned comfortably within the Ruxley Heights estate, and this is intended to avoid traffic building up into the estate. Now is the best time to install electric gates on the estate. Now this is because we have received funding from New Court to resurface the entrance to Hillview Road, and we would like to use this funding and the opportunity for resurfacing to undertake the necessary groundworks for installing electric gates at the same time to avoid having to pull up a beautiful road at a later date. This would reduce cost overall and, of course, inconvenience to residents. The main objective behind installing new gates is to improve the appearance of the estate upon entry. It is about enhancing the sense of enjoyment of living in a beautiful location. Although Ruxley Heights is a private estate, it does not have a proper estate feel in the eyes of others, in particular estate agents. We would like to underpin the private nature of the estate and bring it to its full visual potential. This will have a number of benefits for residents. Firstly, as well as increasing the feeling of enjoyment of living in a private estate, gates are also shown by statistics to reduce crime by deterring nuisance visitors and reducing unwanted traffic. According to a police survey, homes with no security measures are 5 times more likely to be burgled. Furthermore, on a recent inspection, Surrey Police recommended the installation of electric gates in order to reduce crime as a preventative measure. Additionally, installing new gates should help to reduce unauthorised entry and parking on the estate. This has been highlighted as an issue for a number of residents in the estate. One of the other benefits that we would like to achieve in installing new gates is to help reduce the speed of traffic, particularly in coming into the estate and exiting the estate. Now, we believe the installation of new gates would help to achieve this goal because cars would be required to drive at a slower speed on both entering and exiting the estate. This should also help to reduce noise pollution for residents. In practical terms, installing new electric gates should also help to underpin house values. Surprisingly, at the moment, houses on the estate are not viewed particularly favourably when compared to similar properties on public roads situated closer to the village centre. This is due to the fact that the estate is situated some way away from the centre. Therefore, to make the estate a more appealing place to live for other people, we would like to install these new electric gates. So in summary, there are a number of factors in favour of installing new gates, and the design that we propose seeks to maximise the aesthetic appeal and to minimise any operational downside in having new gates.
The following points were raised at the AGM. This is a summary of the key points, and hopefully we can address those over the next few slides. One of the concerns raised at the previous meeting was the sound levels that were achieved on the gates. I did some recordings with a decibel meter. These are recordings that are taken at about 1 metre away from the gates, and there's a standard way of doing these readings. The interesting thing here from this chart, and hopefully the chart is self-explanatory, but the sound levels that were recorded at 1 metre away from the gates are half as loud as a normal conversation. The outline of proposals that we have are as follows. The gates will be set to the open setting during the busiest periods. This will avoid congestion and delays, and they can be easily amended. So basically in busy periods they'll just be set to permanently be open, and we will monitor the traffic flow and any issues that are raised. When closed, the system is devised to minimise delaying traffic congestion. They're automatically triggered to open immediately upon a car coming in from Hillview Road from Stevens Lane. They're also automatically triggered to open before reaching the gates when driving down Hillview Road. This is to minimise that gate opening time that would delay drivers getting in and out from either side. The location of the gates, we are a further 6.8 metres into the estate from the existing white gates. This allows 2 to 3 cars to turn in from Stevens Lane whilst the gates are still opening. That's at off-peak times. Obviously, as we said earlier, when the peak periods are on, those gates would just be set to open. The gate features really the same width as the existing gate posts at 5.6 metres wide. You saw the mock-up slide that we had earlier, so that should give you the biggest picture possible rather than me trying to describe it. There are various safety mechanisms on the gates that they reopen automatically if there's closing of any error onto an object, any sort of issue. The mechanisms are very silent, as we said earlier. The rams that are used on the gates are intended for very high usage, so they're not prone to mechanical failure often. So the illumination on the gates as well will be devised in such a way that it should not be an issue to surrounding properties, in that we'll do discrete lighting that still illuminates the gates enough but isn't an issue to the neighbouring properties. The overall system will have a manual override, so if there is any power failure, mechanical failure or anything that's not easily resolvable, then we can manually override. There will be a pedestrian side gate which can be locked at a later stage, or keypad entry, or whatever we decide. So initially it will just be a side pedestrian gate with no restriction on it. The other side of this is the board overall believes that we do have sufficient funds to comfortably afford the gates. And now on to the cost of the proposed gates. We did consider proposals from different companies, and the board selected the Gateomation company, a well-known company in the automated gates arena, and very reputable, and a lot of positive feedback about them. The overall costs are that a new electricity supply would be needed, which is £1,095 plus the VAT. The overall installation costs from Gateomation come out at £34,520 plus the VAT, and the additional road surfacing costs that we anticipate are £15,000 plus the VAT, which gives us the total of £50,615 plus the 20% VAT on top, is an overall cost of £60,738. We do have quite a good surplus of funds in the bank to process this, so the overall outlook from the board is that this is a well justified and a cost effective way of introducing new gates to the estate. So the next steps will be addressing any specific queries raised by the members, the arrangement for a formal EGM by way of notices and issue of proxy voting for anybody that can't attend, and the date for the proposed EGM itself. Thank you.